Hello, hello. How are you? Welcome back to the sweet spot. It has been a minute on purpose. I am so happy to be back in this chair. I'm still off work or off coaching calls this week, but I'm so happy to be back. We are in this funky, weird, amazing, sort of out of sorts week. At least for me, that happens between Christmas and New Year's. And it's such a mixed bag. I've been checking in with some friends and with all of my clients. And it's such a mixed bag for how everyone is feeling. And it's so funny. I think that we're all like coming down from Christmas. There are a lot of people that are fighting flu bugs and some other colds and fevers. And we actually are just on the tail end of that in our house. We had the most incredible trip up to Spokane, Washington, which is where I'm from, before Christmas. And we spent 5 incredible days with all of my family up there. And it was honestly so incredible. We flew back on Christmas Eve, and within a few hours of being home, both my husband and my daughter started really feeling like crap. And so, unfortunately, our Christmas Eve and our Christmas slowly, like we went to church on Christmas Eve and then we went out to dinner, and I could just tell that they were slowly fading. And then my poor girl woke up in the middle of the night on Christmas Eve, which you could imagine was not the easiest time for her to wake up with a burning hot fever and just really feeling crappy. So our Christmas morning was really beautiful. We still had such a great time and it was so fun. But poor thing was just like struggling through her little fever and really trying to like power through it. And finally I said, "Do you just want to curl up on the couch and watch a movie?" And she was like, "Yes." Yeah, she was trying so hard to make the most of it. But I've had so many people ask us how our Christmas was. And it's so fun to see the evolution of our kids and their different ages and how the holidays go and all of those good things. And I know I've talked about this on here before, but I had no idea what a sweet spot this phase of parenting was going to be. And I'm so glad that I didn't, because I am just enjoying it so much. I know for some of you that have younger kids, it's like the magic of Christmas is just so sweet. And for some of you who have toddler age kids, I remember those years too, where I think we have this expectation of maybe how Christmas is going to go. And then they're still their little toddler selves and have their own agenda. And sometimes it's beautiful and sometimes it's hard. But I will say, what I loved the most about this Christmas was how genuinely grateful both of our kids were, for not just for the presents. Of course, they were very excited about those. Um, but just for all of it, for the trip that we took, they said thank you multiple times, and they were just so grateful to be with family. They both made us like personalized gifts and gave us letters on Christmas morning. And it was all just so sweet. And it felt just so genuine and so present. And they were so excited and so grateful for the whole experience of it. And it was also so fun. We actually have a couple of traditions that we've started just with our kids. My husband, I don't even remember exactly when this happened. I think it was probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. So Sadie was a toddler, maybe 3. And Jace would have been, 5 or 6 at that point. And he got them a piñata on Christmas Day. And so this has been like a fun new tradition that we started. And this year, in order to like spread things out, we actually didn't put the piñata up until like noon on Christmas. And so you could tell that they were like waiting for it, or maybe wanted to say something like, "Wait, what about the piñata?" But they didn't. And then we had them go into Jace's room, and then we put the piñata up and set up a scavenger hunt, which is something that we do every year. And they were so excited. And my son was like, "I wasn't going to say anything, but I kind of thought you guys forgot about the piñata." And so it was just so sweet to see that like those traditions have really taken hold for them and they mean so much to them, but they also didn't want to like make us feel bad that we didn't do it. So it was really just a sweet, sweet moment. But Thankfully, here we are 4 or 5 days later, and both Dan and Sadie are on the other side of this nasty fever, maybe flu. I don't know. We never tested, but they both survived it. We hydrated, we rested, we red lighted, we saunaed, we did all the things to get them both well. And I'm so grateful. We still have about a week left of break, and they are both on the mend at least. They've turned the corner. I'm so thankful for that. And I don't know how Jason and I somehow escaped this, but we did. Fingers crossed that it doesn't come back in any form. I probably should knock on wood for that one. But I was just so thankful to have this break. And even though they were sick, like just to have this time and for it to be so special for all of us. But here we are in this week again, like I said at the beginning, that I know it actually has been feeling a little bit messy for me, which is so interesting because I had decided that I was going to take the entire break, our kids' entire break, completely off of client calls, which I remember doing this last year and it was amazing. And so I was like, I'm going to do it again. But what has happened is this sickness has meant that we've been sitting around the house a lot. And then we had planned to go up to northern Arizona, which normally has a ton of snow by now, to go sledding and skiing and go play outside. And they have no snow. And so I, without realizing it, had quite a bit of expectation for how these days after Christmas were going to look and feel. And thanks to the illness and thanks to the lack of snow, they have looked nothing like I thought they were going to. And it is not lost on me that this continues to be one of my lessons at every single level that I exist at, is really surrendering to what is real and setting down expectation and really allowing myself to exist in the magic of what is, no matter what. And so I was kind of giggling to myself this morning because I'm like, gosh, what am I going to talk about on the podcast? I'm going to do another one for this Thursday that's going to kind of be my reflections and recap from 2025, which I'm so excited about. But it dropped in loud and clear that my lesson, again, right now, is to let myself be in the discomfort of the messy middle. And that's really what this feels like. Here we are post-Christmas. I think so many of us are feeling that kind of like, that exhale that comes after all of that, especially if we have kids and we have so many family things or different places to be that can just be filled with so much. And then really gearing up for the new year. And if you've been around here, you know I'm not a big New Year's resolutions girly anymore, but I do love the turning of a calendar and I love a clean slate and I love to imagine, who I'm going to become this year and what I want to create and bring to life in all areas of my life. But here we are in this week where I had these big plans or these fun plans and nothing is going as planned. And whenever this happens, I am reminded of Byron Katie's work. If you have not read any of her work, I cannot recommend her enough. She is one of the most sought out thought leaders, I think, of our time. And she has stayed true to her process of thought and mindset work for decades. And she's brilliant. And I have been so challenged by her work. And she wrote a book called Loving What Is, and it blew my brain apart because when we are in growth work, I think it's really easy to think ahead and wish for things to be different. And when we do that, when we want to create something new or different, it can feel like what is existing right now isn't enough. And one of the greatest lessons I learned from her work is that I can fall in love with what is right now and also desire more or desire different. But I don't have to create change from lack. I can actually create it from abundance. And one of her most famous quotes, and one that comes into my mind a lot, is that when we argue with reality, we lose 100% of the time. And so over the last few days, while I've been thinking things like, gosh, I wish they weren't sick, or gosh, I wish it was snowing up in Flagstaff right now so that we could go play in it, even though I do wish for those things, of course, I want my husband and my daughter to be feeling better. And of course, I want to go play in the snow. Like that is what we had planned to do. And the kids were so excited. We got them sleds on Christmas and we're like, hopefully we'll use these this year. As soon as I'm wishing for something to be different than it is, I am pulling myself out of the present and I am actually igniting some suffering within myself. And you can imagine this work takes on a whole new life around things that are much harder than the circumstances that I'm facing right now. But in her book, Loving What Is, she gives all of these real life examples of how she coaches and teaches people this work that is absolutely life changing. As I think when we're in really challenging circumstances or we're wishing that things were different, we're arguing with reality. We're arguing with what is right in front of us. And that always ignites a little bit of suffering within us. And so, as that thought dropped in over the last few days, I'm like, okay, what does it look like for me to just fully surrender to what is? And how do I decide to find abundance and to surrender and find acceptance in what is right now? And so that I don't have to sit here and wish for it to be different than it is. And man, if that didn't just overhaul the way that I was feeling and allow me to make decisions that really shifted my experience for this week. And I'm just so thankful that I have these tools and these other leaders that I've been following. And I'm like, they're mentors without even knowing that they're mentors for me. And so it was really powerful for me to see that. And what I realized is I was kind of sitting in like my own shit for a couple days. I was kind of like letting these circumstances really determine the way that I was feeling. And it was powerful to see. And the beautiful thing is I don't shame myself for that anymore. I just was like, okay, what do you want to do with this now? And so I realized like yesterday morning, I was like, gosh, I kind of just feel like I'm in a funk and this all kind of dropped in. And I'm like, okay, what do you want to do with today? And so like nothing makes me feel better than just bringing myself back into the moment and getting back to the basics. And so I took the morning to do some really powerful self-care. I did some breath work, which was just such a dream for my nervous system. I went for a walk. I washed all of our sheets in our house just to get like everything totally clean and disinfected. I started organizing in our kitchen, just things that were like really pulling me into the present. And it felt so good to let myself get back to the basics. And it was just such a powerful reminder that it doesn't take a lot to shift the way we feel. It doesn't take a lot to shift the way we are experiencing things, even if they aren't going the way that we want them to. And so I just want this to be your reminder that if you are maybe in this messy middle like I was, or maybe I'm still even a little bit, is like, what can you do to stop arguing with reality? Because as Byron Katie says, when we argue with reality, we lose 100% of the time. Like, that's so powerful to see, you guys. It's like, I think so much of our suffering that we experience as humans comes from the fact that we aren't accepting what is. We aren't allowing ourselves to love what is, even if and even when. That's the powerful caveat, is like, that doesn't mean we're stuck in our circumstances. That doesn't mean we can't desire something different or something better or something more. But really surrendering to what is takes away the suffering that we might be experiencing in the meantime and allows us back into the present, which is really all that we have, so that we can take that feeling of sufficiency and abundance into what is next. And so as soon as I did this, as soon as I just let myself get back to the basics, I literally sat down and I'm like, what do you actually want and need right now? And I'm like, I need to breathe. I realize like when I am in lack or I am arguing with reality, I don't think I take full deep breaths. So spending 10 full minutes, and then I actually did another shorter one, doing breath work was such a gift. I did a 20-minute yoga class. I went for a walk by myself. And I used to like, there's a version of me that years ago would have made myself wrong for the fact that I wanted alone time. But we are meant to take space, you guys. Like, I know when we're in this season, and I actually had a moment yesterday where I'm like, I should want to be with the kids. I'm feeling these shoulds creep in. I should want to be with the kids. I do want to be with the kids. But in order for me to be who I want to be when I'm with my kids, I need some freaking space. And so I did my breath work. I got on my vibe plate. I did my yoga. I went for a walk. Fueled myself with a really delicious, healthy breakfast. I started cleaning out. You guys, the real dopamine comes when we're like organizing and like cleaning things out. And TJ Powers does such an incredible job talking about this. But like when we do basic tasks that have a start and a finish, like the dopamine we think we're craving, that we think was on our phones, is actually exists in tasks like this that are kind of mundane and they don't take a lot of brain power, but they're good for us. It's really good for us to do these small projects and to start them and finish them. And so it felt so good to get my kitchen drawers all cleaned out and get our pantry cleared out, all the crap that we have accumulated over the last month or so since Thanksgiving. I'm like, get this stuff out of here so that we can have a fresh start. And I was just such a good reminder. Like I wanted to be outdoors and connect with nature and connect with myself. And so this is what getting back to the basics gets to be. And it's not going to fail you. If you are feeling like you are in a funk or you are in this messy middle like I was, I just want you to sit down with a pen and a piece of paper and go, what do I actually want and need right now? And I want you to write it down. And then I want you to give it to yourself. That's actually the hard part, is it's so easy to make ourselves wrong for what we want and need instead of going, our system doesn't lie. Our intuition, our gut doesn't lie when we sit down and go like, okay, honestly, what do I want and need right now? And as soon as I started writing, I was like, I need space. I need to move my body. I need to nourish myself. And I gave myself those 3 or 4 things. And I'm not kidding. It was like a flip was switched inside of me. And who I was being with myself first completely changed. I was no longer wishing for things to be different than they are. I just surrendered to what is and went, okay, they're on the tail end of this nasty fever and there's no snow in Flagstaff. What do we want to do now? So I got my kitchen cleaned out. We invited a few friends over. We ordered some pizza and tacos from Costco, and we had the most fun night doing absolutely nothing. It was so beautiful. And all it took was me taking 5 minutes to go, hey, how are you? What do you need? What do you want today? And then giving it to myself. And so I did the same thing this morning, and I'm going to do it every single day for the rest of break. This is what I do in our regular scheduled programming. I just haven't been checking in as regularly because we're out of our normal routine and structure. And I found myself almost making myself wrong for that. Is like, why can't I be in my flow even when we're out of our routine and structure? Like, my system just requires a little bit of structure. So I get to give myself the gift of creating a little bit of structure. And so what do you want and need right now? In a couple of days, we're going to be turning the page on the calendar. We are going to be talking about what we want to create in 2026. I'm actually going to be hosting the most incredible monthly mood board method workshop on January 6th, which we will link in the show notes below. And I cannot wait to see what you want to bring to life in 2026. But what I want you to do right now is just ask yourself what you want and need today. Because we have these few days before we turn the page. And we don't need January 1st to feel like a complete overhaul. We don't need to resolve to be and do something totally different. We don't have to make ourselves wrong for how we've been existing. We can choose right now, right this moment, to shift back into ourselves, to get quiet enough to ask ourselves these powerful questions, to shift into desire, to give ourselves what we want and need, to shift the way we exist and experience these few days before we turn the page. These few days left of break, if your kiddos like mine are in school and you are taking this time as well. What a gift to check in and give yourself what you actually desire right now. We don't have to wait. We don't have to resolve on the 1st to do things completely different. We can start right now to inch towards that. And we can really surrender to what is and get back to the basics. Take care of ourselves in the ways that we know make us feel so much better. I am sending you guys so much love. I would love to hear from you. Tell me how you're doing. If you haven't joined us for the workshop yet, sign up. You guys, it's going to be so good. You guys know I do my monthly mood boards at the beginning of every single month. I've been doing it for over a year now. It has completely changed my life. These are the rituals, these are the things that allow me to check in the same way I'm asking you to do right now. What do you want and need? How are you feeling? What are you calling in? What do you want to create? What are your intentions? It's such a beautiful gift to offer ourselves this on a regular basis. All right, guys, I'm going to close out. I'm sending you so much love. Have an incredible few days. I'll be back in here on the pod on the 1st with my reflections for 2025. And then next week, I'm going to shift into what's coming in 2026. And I cannot freaking wait. There's so much magic that's going to be created in the new year. It's not a whole lot different than what I've been putting out in the world this year. It's just expansion and at a whole new level. And that's what we're here for. I think all of us. So fun. So fun. All right. I'm sending you so much love. Have an incredible week. And I will see you in the next episode.